I want to talk to you about my friend Charlie Crawford. He's a 10-time NFR qualifier.
Charlie Crawford, time to just shake it out and win. Got it on him fast, set
there
up.
We are.
Here's a dead
nice
money
run.
lead. You betcha 3-8.
That's an absolute perfect run. Timing was perfect from the time the first swing is up. He's got the control. Charlie made it happen by being timed up with his horse with the steer, and being able to not just rope, but to pick that steer's head up without changing the momentum for the heeler at all.
We know his beautiful wife, Jackie, all three of their beautiful children, the founder of the Liberty and Loyalty Foundation, which this year will exceed $1 million raised for military and first responders. I've said it 1,000 times. Charlie, it's time to rope, nod and ride, whip and spur. I want to welcome you to the Charlie Crawford Podcast. Let's ride.
Ready to take your heading skills to the next level? Introducing the Basics of Roping, the ultimate online course for beginners. With over 2 hours of step-by-step instruction, drills, and swing breakdowns, this course is designed to teach the fundamentals of team roping in a way that is easy to follow. You'll learn everything from the basics of rope stretching and care to understanding the swing and rotation of your hand. Whether you're new to roping or just looking to refine your technique, the Basics of Roping has you covered. Head to my website, Charlie Crawford Training, and click on the course tab to follow the link to sign up. The first 100 students to sign up will get this course at a special rate of $100. This would be a great Christmas present for that aspiring team roper in your life. What's up, Kels?
What's up, buddy?
Good work the last couple weeks, champ.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
So that was that, everyone dreams of hitting that roll at the right time.
Right.
And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the roll. No one out-roped you, and it carried from one to the next. It was fascinating. Fascinating. It was great to watch. I was excited to be there the whole time. I would probably say, if we're going to go right on into it, there's a certain recipe, in my opinion, that I would want to know.
Mm-hmm.
When the Chiefs win the Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, how is that offense ran and how is that defense ran? That was a winning recipe. The first thing I'd love to ask is, what was your practice routine before you went to Kimes Ranch? What was your focus? What was your mindset? What were you trying to get? How were you trying to get ready? Because win or lose, it worked.
Right.
So I'd love to know how you got ready for these events before you left Texas.
So this year, the last couple of times I'd made the NFR, I set the barrier up, really worked on that, really went at it. This year I didn't, which for one, it was different because we went to Scottsdale first. And I was like, man, I don't want to just hone in on the NFR if I've got this other big deal first. And so that was different to me a little bit. But we have an idea of how it's going to be, right? We have an idea of what the South Point was going to be set up like. They told us what Scottsdale was going to be set up, but nobody had ever been there. So you never know the feel. But this year for me, I was just trying to be like riding aggressive the whole time. Like I don't know how to explain it. I didn't want to be too worried about the start or pulling or floating. Like I wanted to be aggressive because I think what I learned last year roping at the South Point or at the NFR for us, I feel like I'm a really good average roper, but it and we're seeing it at the NFR right now. It's like if you're average and you're not winning anything and then something happens, then you're screwed. Then you have no money and now boom, I drop down in the average. And so I was like, man, in the past, yeah, girls have caught 10, but there's only been one girl that has been clean, Katie Williams, clean on 10. It's like, okay, don't be scared to go at the barrier a little bit. Like that's kind of was in the back of my mind. Don't be scared to go at it and be aggressive. If you get a barrier, learn from it, but hey, I got that sucker down. Because 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to catch the one you broke the barrier on because he's right there, right? So that was kind of my focus. Like, hey, don't back off. Be aggressive. Like, don't be scared to run at them. So that's kind of what I was working on at home, I guess, without really setting the barrier up. If that makes sense.
Well, here at home, we set the barrier up. We called and got the measurements. They weren't even right. They weren't correct from what Jackie talked about or who she asked, and so it moved around, but it was still good. I still like for her because she's still always going to be trying to find what horse fits her. Sure. Get the feel of the barrier, get the timing, because there's so much timing from the back of the box to the calf when and where you bring your rope up. But one of the things we always talk about here too is like when you don't hit the barrier. Okay, that's still practice.
Right.
Now can you go run that one down and catch them? Because and out of 10 runs, that's going to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
That's still practice. It's great to want to have your maxed out runs. But I've been guilty of it before in the past. It's like I missed my start and almost pull up. I'm like, no. Like it took me until I went to a couple NFRs where I realized, hey, that's still practice.
Yep.
Because the steer might turn his head at the end. You might have to pull. You might have to get by.
Right.
And so those are ways I think when you're practicing that, crap can happen.
100%. Yeah,
so,
calf turns his head, or your horse moves. Like that's what I just tried to like. Don't panic, because I'll do the same thing in the practice pen. It's like I want to go training on them. It's like, no, don't panic. Just hold, pull, whatever you need to, and freaking stay hustling.
Yep.
So,
well, anyone who lives under a rock, let's just go down the 2024 Kimes the Kimes Ranch $1 million breakaway that they had at Westworld in Scottsdale. Aggregate champion. Nailed it. Won $95,000 in 3 days.
Yeah.
And then went on to go to Vegas at the National Finals breakaway roping, was the aggregate champion there as well. And then went on to win the 2024 WPRA, the Women's Professional Rodeo Association, and PRCA world title. That was within 2 weeks, week and a half, I guess.
5 days, honestly.
5 days.
Like really, well, 6, I guess within 7 days, but that was 5 days of roping.
Yeah, because you started Thursday.
Yep, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, had Sunday, Monday off, and then rope Tuesday, Wednesday at Vegas.
And that's back numbers and, back number ceremonies, getting calves ready, all kind of stuff, all bunched into one.
Yep.
So this is the world title that you won. So like the National Finals breakaway roping is what they call it, the NFBRA, correct? So you're rodeoing all year. PRCA, WPRA, I guess is what they call it. What do they call this world title in the breakaway? Because it's not really the same as, like, say, Waco, when you go there and win a world title, what you guys used to be. Now it's different. Is it WPRA, PRCA world champion? Is that what they call it?
It's tricky because, our buckle still says world champion. You know what I mean? And at Waco, I think they've kind of changed it at Waco to say, and I don't even know, maybe national champion, but like, it's weird though, because when you have the team roping and the calf roping or the tie down roping there at Waco, it's like you can't. Those are world champions because that's what we have there too. So I don't know. I know the buckle still says world champion, but it's PRCA. I guess it's co-approved. With that. So
because
I guess I don't know
because there is some
exact
different.
Same.
There is a different flavor,
right? Yeah, because we have the girl that won it through Waco and all the jackpots and stuff. I mean, she's still a quote unquote world or national champion in that deal, but ours is it's a completely different ballgame now for what we get to do.
It is. What a 5 days. I want to watch some runs here. I want to go to Kimes Ranch $1 million rodeo or $1 million breakaway rope, excuse me. Westworld. I thought it was a great spot. Weather was amazing. 80 degrees.
Yeah. Awesome.
Anyone who brought their families, I could have went and roped, but, there's so many things to do. I think staying there and it didn't really have that for us. But, anyone that wanted to go rope, there's plenty of team ropings to go to, golf courses all over the place, within 20 minutes to the airport.
Yeah.
It was a good spot. Yep. It was fun. It felt like.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But, one of the things that I thought was those girls. So let's back up just a touch. Let's go with, let's say the first qualifier was when was the first qualifier for the $1 million
Guthrie
breakaway?
At Oklahoma's Richest.
Oklahoma's Richest, and when was it? October?
In October. Yep.
October. So that was the first qualifier.
Right.
Correct. And then the second qualifier was right before this.
The semifinals at Scottsdale.
Before the whole thing, right?
Yep.
And so a lot of girls showed up and roped in the last chance qualifier. And then all the girls from both ropings, so those two ropings got them to where I think there was 80 of them. Did that sound right? Give or take?
Yeah, somewhere around that number. I don't know the exact numbers,
so
but
that
still quite a few to go to the
Thursday
semifinals.
Yep. And that was Thursday morning. So those girls roped Thursday morning, and they went from getting down to 80 to thinning it down to 15.
Right.
And so those 15 girls butted up with the top 10 from the WPRA, PRCA World Championship from the girls rodeoing all year long.
Right.
And it looked like, in my opinion, when those girls when it started Thursday night, they already looked warm. You know, it's kind of like watching an NFL, watching the playoffs.
Right.
And you're watching the wild cards that were battling at
Yeah.
the end, and they go starting the playoffs, and they're kind of in on a heater on the way in.
Yep.
And you've seen her a lot of times. Sometimes those wild cards can end up getting on a run.
They got to roll. They're
playoffs.
going, for sure.
And it looked like for some girls that were just showing up, were almost a little cold.
Yep.
In a way, like the top girls are almost cold going in, where it took a little while to get going.
Yeah. We kind of went in blind to say, because we hadn't run one, and then couldn't really watch, how they had. I mean, it was an amazing production, but it was hard to get in there and watch.
Yeah, that was another
stuff
thing.
Like that. So
you guys weren't able to really go watch
we couldn't
Barry,
go in there.
right?
Mm-mm. I mean, unless you were helping somebody in the box, there was no way. I mean, we could just watch it on the TV outside from that angle.
Pretty
but
hard
we know
to
how
watch
it
the
is.
stuff.
Yep.
So let's go with round one. So we're watching this on the big screen right here. Here's round one. So walk me through round one.
It was one of those, holy crap, this just happened in round one. But yeah, just, one of those things that comes every once in a while, just blow your spoke. That's what a lot of people ask, like, hey, did you miss feed? And it's always the swing after I feed. So it's not technically a misfeed. Yeah, that's every time I've done it, and I've done it a handful of times. I did it at the college finals one year. I've done it at the WPRA finals and the tie down. So it's not even like was trying to go 1-9. It's just something happens and I open my hand and it's always the swing. I've already fed. So it's always after, and I miss it and grab it. And then when you grab it, it's never perfect when you grab it.
Well, and just so everyone knows, because like these are things that I've never seen. So like, let's say I've never seen you do this in practice pen.
Right.
I've never hardly seen you doing this in regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with Clay Cooper. I think he did it 1 year and he still caught 2 feet. It was one of the best things it was one of the coolest heel shots I've ever seen.
Yep.
Trevor, I see him do it all the time. I think he's got them tiny little T-Rex hands. He'll blow his spoke, but he can get it right back in his hands so dang fast. And then Driggers. Well, what round was it? Round 3? Did you see that run where
went backwards? I've done that too. I did that at San Antonio.
It almost hit the gate man.
I almost hit this line judge over here.
The rope just came out of his hand, and literally when he went to throw it, it basically went back to the head box.
Right.
So I think it's really good for a lot of young kids to hear that. It's good for a lot of young kids to see that, hey, the best in the world, those things happen.
Right.
Because I know for a young kid, you're going to want to go hide behind a rock.
Sure.
I get it. I totally understand. I've been there myself because I've never seen hardly any of these things happen ever at home.
Right.
Or it's funny how it happens at the big moments.
Yep.
And I've seen a lot of kids that do it at the big moments too, and they're almost mortified. Maybe they did it at the high school finals or things like that. So I think it's really good to see that. But what I loved was how fast you were able to correct it, blow it, get it back in your hand.
Pull it back out, yeah.
Get it back open, rope on the left-hand side of your horse's neck, and still get the calf caught.
Right. And I mean, right there, I'm 6-something seconds, but I've got him down and I'm better than a barrier. Yep. So I'm not in the best spot, but I'm not in the worst spot either. So it was, that. And I think too, what I love so much too is like my horse didn't quit me either. And that goes to show how good he stays honest, because how many horses, if that happens, and I've got some at home too that do it, they're done. They're stopped. They think the run's over. And then you're going to have to kick them up and hell, the calf might be out the gate by then. So, and
I think also in my opinion, what that proved, and this is just from a coaching aspect of things, that's a learned skill. All my clinics, and I've learned from watching you and Jackie do clinics, I've watched you guys have the out games.
Yep.
And where you blow your spoke and get your rope back in your hand again. I do those all my clinics. I recommend all kids do that. Out games 100%. Are fun. It's basically playing pig.
Right.
But think about all the realistic things that could happen during a run and practice them at home.
Right.
That's a great rope handling trick to learn. I always tell everyone, if you're getting started, try it at least 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah. Don't be scared to do the things out of the ordinary, per se.
Well, because there's a tornado that can happen during the run. Can you think through it?
Right. Exactly.
If the only time you practice during the run, you're probably going to freeze.
Yeah, that's the thing. You probably see them too at the clinics and stuff. You've got people that do an amazing job, but it's like tunnel vision. If something goes wrong, it's like, boom, mind blown. They can't react and keep moving. It's like, hey, it's got to go step by step or it's over. Instead, just like that, be able to react and not panic. Like, stay hustling, but don't panic.
Like, for all the girls that are dreaming of being a top roper, what are some of the tornadoes that you could think of to get ready for. So like say at my clinics, for instance, this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you blow your spoke? Can you rope with the spoke still blowing and still
Right.
catch them? Can you rope and get it back in your hand and still catch them? Can you rope off one foot? Can you rope off another foot?
Yep.
Can you rope too close, too far back, too far to the left, too far to the inside? I even put the dummies along the side of the fence because how many times can you think of in team roping where
Right.
heel and barrier, older steers, they
Yep.
just get on the fence. You're
Yep.
going to have to, those are things that can happen. So in the breakaway, what are some things for young girls when you're out there in the barn and it's raining and, you know, you can't rope? What are some things that you feel like girls could do besides just going and roping, you know, 100 calves in the same spot? What are different things you could do to where you get ready for a run like that?
Yeah, some of the, same thing. Rope it at different spots, or blow your spoke, or just like you said, Jackie and I at the clinics, I obviously learned a bunch from her too. We're gonna, do that, or sometimes we'll even have them hula hand just to get that feel. Yeah, we probably can't be like RJ at the finals and hula hand one, but that's because he's got feel for his rope. But even when people come for lessons or whatever, we're gonna rope that dummy, not just straight behind them, and go rope those different shots, because it doesn't, I won the average at 2 places, but neither one of those average, as a whole, nothing was perfect, really. Things are going to happen.
The goal is to set up a free throw shot where you hit the barrier and get behind them. Okay, when that happens, can't miss.
I know.
That has to be your bread and butter, right? But, like you said, out of 10 runs, how many times do you think that happened?
Right, exactly.
It's great to be able to say you're going to do that, but it's not going to. That's why I see the Driggers, what you did. A lot of your gamey ropers are able to adjust from those things. I even do, like in the team roping clinics, I'll do it where you put your left foot behind you. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had a barrier pull my leg when I have to throw.
Yep.
All those things you can think of, those are, to me, the best pig games or out games I think you can play when you have a group of other girls with you. Because that's the stuff that really builds your roping.
Yep.
You still got to make your free throw shot.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
But now can you shoot a free throw shot, a layup when you're too close? Can you shoot a 3-pointer? Now what happens when they're out there? A fadeaway when you get up there and your horse stops, your calf goes away. All those different kind of shots that basically related to basketball. That the rim's not always going to be in the same spot.
Yeah, exactly. And that reminded me, what round was it? Jackie's at the NFR. Like her calf jumped out of the chute, freaking scored. She scored amazing, and then was ready right there and got him.
Yep.
Like that stuff happens. They trip or whatever, turn their head, jumped, and she held everything. That's a different angle too. You got to be ready for. So that one stood out to me.
So then just stayed. What was your mindset after that? Like going in there now, round 2, round 3. When did it feel like you kind of broke the ice, kind of started feeling like you're starting to get into a groove? Because I know sometimes when you start out and you're dead, like we talked about earlier, you're almost coming in cold, you blow your spoke, and then things happen. How long do you feel like it kind of took to where you started getting a groove?
I think just, a couple more rounds. I can't remember for sure. After that first day, I still was, or I guess been the second day. Sorry, I'm thinking we did 3 days in Scottsdale. I know going into the final day there, I was still I was in top 4 in the average. So, that day ended good, had a couple more, a couple good runs. And then the next day, I think maybe I got a barrier. I can't remember for sure, but
I think this is in order. I believe this on your Facebook. So this, I think, was your second round. Hit the start good.
Yeah.
2 swings ready.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's what, like we talked about earlier, we're going in blind because we didn't get to run of them. I still felt, even in the next couple runs, that one was good. That one felt good.
2 swings are starting to come back now. Like your start's there, calf's
you're
there.
We're kind of getting the hang of it. We don't, it's not completely new anymore. But I remember telling my mom after that, it's like, man, I know I've ran a couple, but it's still like, I'm getting it figured out. But I think now once these, calves start over and we got reruns, that's when we'll really feel comfortable, because we just, those were the first 3 runs we've made in that setup, period.
So this was round 3. So that one, that's the run we were talking about basically earlier, like when we was talking about practicing at home, like with Jackie. Like that one looked like he squirted out pretty good.
Yeah, horse kind of jumped a little bit, but
But that's
Yep.
where you go get up there, get in position, level off, and
Make
don't
sure you
miss.
get him. Yep.
Yeah, make sure
100%.
you get him. You know, those are when you know you've when the barrier pulls in front of you, you know, like there's no money here.
Right.
Now,
Yeah, don't make it any worse than it is. Yep.
But yeah, that was good. It looked like second in the third round. It looked like got tapped off. And what do I mean by that is, you know, when there's certain timing that it takes. So when you see the start, when your left hand goes forward, then you're able to bring your swing up at a certain spot.
Yep.
So like it looked like when you got to the barrier, you were able to feed your rope, your horse had gain, and you hit the start. So that means you have momentum going to the calf where you're in stride with your horse. When your swing's going forward, your horse is going forward. So when you get in range, when you get in your position, everything is what they call being ahead of your horse. So when you get there and it's set up, you can come right out of that swing and your horse's forward momentum. Your horse's forward momentum carries that rope to the calf's head. All that's timing.
100%.
And that's all feel. And that's what you're looking for to get in that groove.
Yep.
You know, what's good about, I think, too, is, you know, what's hard is at the NFR. Because those runs that you're making are 23 hours and 58 minutes apart.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And, you know, when you guys are open, you know, it's a little bit faster, you know, at the Kimes $1 million breakaway because you're only running three around.
Right.
So that's different than 4 at the end. But like at the National Finals breakaway open, you're running 5. So if you're getting on a heater, man, you can keep the momentum going.
100%.
It is hard to do that at the NFR. That's where, like, for guys that, you know that when you see the, so say like when you seen Haven last year in the calf roping, he stayed on a heater all 10 rounds. That's hard to do from that time zone or from that time range.
Right.
Same thing with some of the headers and team ropers that you've seen just lights out for 10 nights. That's beast mode.
Yeah.
That's pretty dang cool. And
100%.
You're seeing that with Riley Webb too, where he's just not stopping either.
Yeah. I mean, that guy's in some kind of zone.
So you run 3 calves on Thursday, correct?
Yep.
And then Friday this is the $1 million breakaway. And then on Friday you run 3 calves, correct?
Yep.
So how was everything looking coming in on Friday?
Friday was good. Like I said, I think I was third in the average by then. I'm pretty sure. I know I was top 4, and I knew I can't remember. I think I was just down that. I mean, I don't think I had a barrier. I know I got a barrier at some point. I can't remember what round now, but I knew I was good. Like I had that 6-second run, but other than that, everything was pretty solid. And I'd done, you know, so at the Kimes deal, they took so many on average and so many by money won bag, and I was good on either one of those. I think so. That, you know, that was one of those. Okay, I get to go to the final round because that was another thing different there. It's like, hey.
Yeah, explain that. Explain how Thursday and Friday worked to get to Saturday.
Yeah, they brought
24 girls or
25 girls, and then only 15. Was it 10 or 15 back to Saturday? Now I'm trying to remember. I think 15.
Let's say 15, just for an easy. I think that's correct.
Yeah.
So they weeded out 10. So to be those 15 girls on Saturday, what was the requirements?
You had to be top so many in the average, which was less number, and now I don't want to get to lying again, how many in the average, and then the rest was by money won. And some of those girls, you know, kind of were the same, and they dropped, but the average trumped. So if you went into the average, you were good, and then they would drop down in the money won. But more girls went by money won than in the average. And so that was one of those things in the back of your mind too. It's like, yeah, you want to be good in the average, but hey, don't just be an average roper the whole time, because if you're not winning any money and you're not high enough in average, you're not going back to the final day. So that was a little different. I mean, obviously way different than anything we've been used to.
So going into Saturday, what was the mindset? Do you know what you were going in average wise on Saturday?
Yeah,
you know,
so that was
what everything was looking like.
Yeah, that was top 3 in the average, and I got to go toward the end in that first round on Saturday. And I know Ricky and Gesser went out, and maybe something else. I know I jumped up like in the average, like boom, right at the beginning. I knew before I had to rope my first one, things had already changed in the average. So it was one of those, okay, like just keep your head down, get those, you know, make sure, let's get past this one, and then we can be aggressive on the next ones if we need to. But I know a couple of them, and now I'm getting them all confused now with the NFR and Kimes. But I know I was good in the average even going into it, but then that first round, a couple of them went out in the average.
So this should
went
be
down.
round numbers. This should be the first day on Saturday.
Yeah.
First one. Just a good run.
Yeah. Good run. He,
like 3 swings.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He kind of wanted to slow up a little bit. So just made sure I got him and. Yeah.
Didn't look like the timing was there for the 2.
Right. And in the back of my mind too, like I said, I knew those girls went out. And so I wasn't necessarily looking for that either. I'd kind of backed off just a little bit.
I think this was round number 8, I believe.
Yeah.
So it should be
Same
the second,
thing.
second one on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looked like the same run. Good start, extra swing.
Yep.
And made sure.
Yep. I knew. I just wanted to stay after him.
This was round 9.
Yeah.
Round 9 was a little different. Round 9 looked like a freaking lion just showed up. I remember because I had his head because it was one of the few I remembered.
Yeah.
Because I'm like the worst guy to pay attention to because there were so many different things going on and they kept changing the order. I think I missed the first day I think I was like 1 for 3 for you. But yeah, I finally showed up from there. So I watched it firsthand and I'm like, oh, there's no more staying in the it was there and you could see you felt it.
Yeah, I knew that calf was so good. Ryan and I talked about that calf being good, and honestly, I mean that kind of surprised me. But when it's there, it's there. You know, the timing. My horse was good. Like it was
because this was everything we just talked about. When you see your start and you're able to bring that swing in the right spot, you hit the line and you know when it's there, huh? And I mean, he come right in your office. He had a little step to you, so it kind of shows his head where you can get that shot. And I was there and I went, oh, I like it. I like it. It was a little bit more, it kind of made my stomach turn because I was like, okay, you're going at him.
Yeah, that's what Joby too. He said, you made my eyes cross on that one. But yeah, that was, I mean, dang sure obviously didn't think I was going to be that close on the barrier. But like you said, when everything's rolling and it feels good,
and it's
take the
hard
shot.
when you know the $30-some thousand rounds.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Stuff that you don't get to rope for all year long at all, ever. And
I kind of knew too, like same thing. If I get the barrier, I think I was going to just drop 1 in the average. And so that was, that's kind of a gamble there. But like you said, why not go? Yeah, why not go and get some round money?
So when you had that calf drawed, was that kind of your mind? Like, hey, I've got a good one here. If I can, I've got room here. If I can hit the barrier and it's there, I'm going to try to make some money on this one.
Yeah, that's what I'd talk to. Like we had our calves and I talked to Ryan, like, hey, I thought one before maybe he's a little stronger. Like, hey, be aggressive, but get him down. But I knew that one was a good one. I knew he was good.
So this is one where I talk about this a lot in my clinics. And I think this is a good mindset for a lot of young girls to hear. Now we're talking about round number 10. Now we're talking about the chance to win the average. This is your high call situation. I don't know how many times I've heard people say, oh gosh, don't say the high call. Don't put that mojo on me. I've heard. I'm like, what the crap are you talking about?
Yeah,
like,
get pumped about it.
That's the shit you practice. That's
what dreams are made of.
That's what dreams are made of. Exactly right. So when you're going in, how much did the average pay?
60
grand. This is the biggest breakaway roping. I mean, this is the biggest breakaway roping, in my opinion, even more than the American, because of the chance of how many chances you had to get that much money. Now, when you're like, if you win the $1 million, that is different.
Right.
But as far as a breakaway roping, this is it. This is what you girls have dreamt about.
Yeah.
So when you're going into round number 10, what are you focused on?
Man, be aggressive. Like I knew he was good, but I knew I couldn't back off because he'd beat me. Like they were kind of getting that way where, if you couldn't give them too much because then they're gone. And I mean, that place isn't just huge anyway, and you don't want to run them down because then they might get dirty, whatever. But I just backed in the box knowing, hey, like this is another practice run where you put yourself in that situation. How many times at home have we said, hey, okay, I'm high call at the NFR right here, whatever, round 10, like this is what you got to be, like go get him down. And so I was ready for it. I was excited. I remember backing in saying, hey, don't be silly, but don't back off and just be aggressive and make your run. Because that's the kind of run you make in the practice pen all the time, where it's just, I mean, you scored good, you rode good, you took your shot. Yeah, it ended up being one of the best runs I made, but I didn't feel like I did anything crazy,
I think there's a groove that you can get into, but I think that has to be practice at home. And also too, is I think you've got to get enough diesel smoke and get to enough places and learn how to handle that. So when those big ones show up, there's a recipe. You know, there's been times where I think I've seen it and I felt it to where when you back up, you know it. Like, you know it. And you can't explain that and you can't teach it. And it's one of those things, when it does happen, it's the coolest damn feeling
100%.
ever. Because there's so much belief that almost takes over. There's nothing panicked. Your fingers ain't cold. You ain't sweating. It's that zone that you hit. And now we're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch this last one. It's on Facebook. So here's the start. Hit it. There he is, and he can two swing that bitch right there too.
I remember hustling though. Like, I almost maybe carried it just a little long, you know what I mean? Like, rode with it a little longer. And then that way, when I brought it up, I knew it was going to be right there.
Your position, your swing. And you can see on your swing, I would highly recommend every breakaway girl make sure you get on Breakaway Roping Journal on Facebook. Get on Kelsie Domer's Facebook page. All these good runs with these reels now. Look at how good this camera is.
I know.
You know, you can see, look how good the start is. You can see what the start is when you bring your first swing up, where that rope's going, how that bottom strand gets underneath the neck, where the curl comes back, slack, everything. There's so much good information you can watch by watching these good runs. And I mean, that was it. How cool was that?
Yeah, that was one of those feelings, like I said, we've all dreamed of, like, to back in the box for that much money at a 10 header and then go make that kind of run. Like, that was cool. That's hard to beat right there.
And like you said, that's what you dream of. 95,000 in a breakaway. When you think 10 short years ago, this was a pipe dream, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
2014, I don't even know if there was hardly any rodeos that even had breakaway.
I mean, we were amateur cowgirls then, or amateur rodeo, not amateur cowgirls, but amateur rodeo. And that was a thing then. So,
and then 95,000, bam.
Yeah. It truly is unreal what Kimes did, what Chris Neal Production did.
What was your take on the $1 Million Breakaway? What was your take in the fact of what was it like in there? What was the environment? What did it mean to everybody? You know, I think it's on also Fox Sports. I'm really excited to hear Matt and Amanda Kimes and Lindsay. And then Chris Neal. Chris Neal put on a great production as well, along with Teton Ridge. And then, you know, it was on Fox Sports. I'm really curious to see what the stats were.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear the ratings.
Yeah, that's good.
Because Matt and Amanda talked about how many people texted them that there's no way they would have watched it anywhere else. They said, you know, I think they're pretty familiar in the showing world, and the amount of people that said that their daughter was glued to the TV and never seen it before and was glued to it. So the broader audience that they're getting to with that, but between that and everything, what was that roping like?
I mean, you can't compare it to anything else because it was so top notch. From, like you said, the production part, the roping part, calves were great, like every part of it. I mean, and they had us set up ready. Like, it was easy. They had the draw out there, good to go, you know, get videos from people we got to watch. They set up a TV for us back there so we could watch and kind of keep an idea of what's going on, because, you know, only so many were let in, and like it was great. Like, it, you know, just what you would want, I guess, to show on TV, like how good of a production is. Like, that's what you got in the seats. That's what you got on TV. It wasn't just a bunch of people hanging out, sitting on the back of the box, you know, stuff like that. It was great. Like, it was top notch.
I thought what was pretty cool was, say Thursday, I'd say maybe half full, probably half full, maybe low. I don't think high, but in around half full as far as the attendance there in Westworld. Great band that night. I forgot who that dude was.
I don't know.
Super ranked.
He was good. I don't remember either. Cool. He was good.
And then, so cool little after party. And then Friday night, I would say maybe 3/4 or a little bit more, 3/4 full as far as attendance.
Sure.
You know, I think a lot of that too has to do with the fact you girls were roping for serious money. I think it was kind of new in that area. A lot of ropers as well. So I think it's a good spot for it. But Saturday night, sold out. Standing room only. For a single event.
Right.
That's not easy to do.
Right.
And y'all did it. I think Kimes Ranch did it. I think you girls did it. I think Chris Neal. I think Teton. I think Fox. There was so much that went on with the production and getting that out there the amount of little girls there to come watch and support.
Yep. That was cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, even, walking back that alley to come back to the arena. I mean, there's so many, like you said, little girls getting high fives, stuff like that. But I mean, everybody's so full. Like the stands were full that night. But it was cool that those girls got to watch. Maybe they got to rope outside or inside earlier that day because they had ropings all weekend, and then they get to come watch us rope for that big money, and then their eyes light up, and that's what they get to dream of now. So
I did a podcast earlier last week with Matt and Amanda Kimes, and I really like, and Lindsay, she is a marketing assassin. She is rank. But between the three of them, I loved their perspective. I loved the energy that they bring in with this event because, without trashing our industry, I'm not trying to say it in a trashy way, but there's a lot of frustration.
Sure.
I think the first people that, talk about tradition, which is great, we got to keep it, but it seems like the people that bitch about the fact that there's not enough money in it, bitch when someone shows up with money.
Right.
And it's so hard, I think, to evolve and keep tradition because it's a balance. It does have to balance each other out. But there's a lot of pettiness in this industry, and I've seen it. I've seen the stuff behind the curtains a lot, rodeo, in my entire career. And what was and I found myself being petty because I think it's such a petty environment. You almost kind of get petty because you're being treated petty, and it kind of like almost is a circle nonstop.
Yep.
Well, when these guys showed up, just the fresh outlook that they had. When I talked to them about, why did you do this? Because no one's done this. You could tell where there was a hole in the industry for breakaway ropers. It was, can these girls have an NFR? No one's jumping on this. Everyone knew it. But I asked them, how come you guys did it? Even though it was wide open, I'm surprised no one took it. But we're very thankful you guys did. But why? Like, why did you guys decide to do this? And I love this perspective. He goes, because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he says, we proposed it to the PRCA and they respectfully declined. And so it's like, instead of being petty about it, we're just going to do our event.
Yep.
And we're not going to look back. We're going to make our event the best we can do because it's the right thing to do. These girls deserve it. I love their fresh outlook. I love that just that positive new outlook that is just, it got away from keeping up with them and almost like trying to poke back and forth, almost like politics now, where everyone's flinging dirt, everyone's flinging mud. They just decide, no, I'm not going to do that. And I love that.
Yep.
And I asked him, I said, well, what do you think that, I asked Matt and Amanda and Lindsay, I said, so let's say they decide to have the NFR and the breakaway in the NFR and the Thomas and Mack, and they add the money to the girls. I said, then what? Then we feel like we did something where maybe it helped.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just loved the way they responded to everything. It was such a fresh take. It was really good for me because I thought, man, what a professional way to hold yourself and your company and
absolutely,
and doing things for the industry. To me, that was something for the industry that was well needed because look at the economic impact that played for you girls.
Right.
That's going to sell more breakaway ropes. That's going to sell more breakaway saddles, boots, hopefully, obviously, what he says, shirts and jeans, what they make, so they get their money back, but I guarantee it will.
Right.
Horses, trucks, trailers, I think what they did was, it was amazing for your guys' industry.
Yeah. What they say, 10 girls won over 50 grand there. That's unreal. That's crazy. But and that's, the way they look at it, that's something to look up to. That's cool.
I thought those were great talking points that the industry needs. I really do. I think that's a good, fresh outlook, because what are we doing this for? We need to be doing this for the industry when it all comes down to it. Because if the girls ain't starting at the youth rodeos to the junior rodeos to the high school rodeos and there's no one left at the top, so it's important to be able to, that's why I thought it was great with Chris Neal and that production team also was having those junior events.
Yeah, that was fun.
Of it right along with it.
Yeah.
To me, that's creating that industry where there's going to be kids coming up and getting people introduced to Breakaway. So
absolutely.
I thought it was awesome what they did.
Yeah, 100%.
So one of the questions we had on Facebook too, and I thought it was really good when people were asking about your ropes and stuff like that. For team ropers, like I always ask a lot of guys, like especially when you're going to the NFR, a lot of the guys will go out to Arizona. Well, during the day, it's 80 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a different type of rope. You know,
Right.
the heat's going to be on it a little bit more. It's going to be warmer, making jackpot runs, what lay they use, what line of rope they use. And then, you know, sometimes when it cools off, you know, that rope's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
So when you went from Arizona and then to Vegas, what were, you know, you're a classic rope girl.
Mm-hmm.
So what line of rope do you use? What size lay? Is there anything that you do differently from the cold to the warm? First off, I guess let's start with what line of rope do you use?
Yep. So the Rattler calf ropes, I'll either use a Viper or a Striker. I'll go back and forth. I'll take both ropes. I got, you know, 2 or 3 rope bags or rope cans, whatever it may be. And I just, you know, I cut some off here at home, but I waited to cut some at Scottsdale just to kind of, you know, I stretched them there just to see how they feel. Cause like you said, weather's different. But I use a 10-0. Used to rope with a 9.5 a little bit, but anything anymore is just a 10-0. And that's, the diameter of the rope, of course. And then that gives it a little more weight. I like that weight. I don't do anything bigger because I don't like the feel in my hand. But as long as I have that weight, and then mainly to me, you know, yeah, I like them somewhat. I mean, not real stiff. Like I'll use a soft one too, and I always have to ask Jackie. I've got it figured out now. But when you hold it, it's either going to be straight or like kicked out to the right. And as long as it feels like that and it feels good in my hand, then I'm not too worried about it.
Kicks,
Mm-hmm.
kicks to the right.
Yeah, I don't want it to come in.
That's why I
like
don't
that
my
feel.
hat off that heel
Yeah.
rope. That's why I don't heel very good either.
Yeah.
When that backs up right there, what they call backswing, that's when the rope wants to come to the left.
Yeah.
And a lot of times for head ropes, that's when it cools off. They want to back up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call it, backswing or backing up. And that's really good for the healers because it really helps when that bottom strand get on the ground. So they like that. But on the head side, I struggle with it. I like straight, maybe just a tick a kick.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, I mean, I'll always have, you know, options in my rope can, and I'll like that, like at Vegas, we have to run 5 and 5. And so if it stays good, I'll use it. If something happens, you know, maybe taking it off the rope, you know, the calf at the back end, something happens, like I'll just let it set maybe a couple rounds and let it kind of come back to itself and then go back to it. But really, I mean, I don't know. I'm not one of those that's real picky about them. I just, as long as they're not doing anything crazy, mainly just like kicking in, like you said. But
well, that's one of the things that can happen more for you girls in the breakaway than does for us headers, because we can hang on to a rope. But that's one of the things your rope's going to have to probably drag out. So a lot of those arenas, especially indoor pens where they try to keep the dust down, you know, there might be that sand that gets in it. The ground's still wet. Where you almost have to let them sit a little bit till it dries back up and the rope feels good again.
Yeah, that's why you dang sure want to have, if you're running 5 that day, have 5 that that you like and feel good, because you never know. I mean, something crazy could happen, or heck, even at Vegas, poor Riley George, her calf got out and drug her rope through the parking lot, and they brought it back, and it was it was obviously terrible. You can imagine how it looked when they got back. So
yeah, those are things that happen. That's pretty real easy to happen too.
Yeah, you got to be ready, and like I said, if it's feeling good and it, you know, whatever, keep using it. But
so you said the line of rope that you use, a Striker and a
Viper. Yeah. So
those
Rattler
two
has 3 calf ropes. They have the Spitfire, which is the newest one, and then the Striker and the Viper. And so I'll go back and forth with them.
What do you feel like the difference is between the Striker and the Viper?
Well, there's one strand of difference for sure. But
so let's say the Striker. Explain that rope for me.
So it's the white rope. I'm pretty sure it's one's 4-strand and one's 5-strand, I believe. Hopefully Peyton isn't rolling his eyes at me when he listens to this later. But I mean, one's going to feel a little better, like smoother in your hand, I guess, just because the strands, right?
Because it has the extra strand.
Right. But weight's going to be the same. And I just have those. I mean, just because when out of war, I'm going to get 6 of one and 6 of another. And I just kind of, whatever feels good that day. Like you said, the weather or whatever, it got drugged this way, or, you know, rope delay, you know, if something crazy happens, I just have those. But I'll kind of go back and forth. Just
now, what about the Viper?
Right.
Is that the one you think has got the less strand? One less?
No, it's got more.
It's got
the
more.
Viper,
So the Striker is probably a 4-strand, and then the Viper's a 3-strand.
No,
or vice versa.
The Viper has more strands. Yeah.
So the Viper's a 4-strand,
yeah.
the Striker's a 3.
Yeah. And I swear it was a 5-strand though.
Your 3, you're almost going to be able to feel the course a little bit more in your fingers too, huh?
Yeah.
Or like you say, the 4 strands you're not gonna feel much of that
Right.
thread.
Right.
It's just
Smoother.
it's gonna be smoother.
Yeah. It's that's the team roper in me, I think.
Yep.
Kind of like that feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now, what about how do you cut your ropes? And like what I mean by that is how do you measure your rope when you go to cut your rope? Do you know how you measure yours? What length?
I mean, I don't know the exact length. I know that so that's a deal this year. In the winter, somehow I got mixed up and I had a short rope, which was working in the winter because everything's fast set up. But come June, I was having hell. And I remember showing Ren Richard one of my videos. I'm like, hey, like this feels good to me. Why does it look so bad? He's like, your rope's too short. I'm like, really? I was like, because I had that in the back of my mind, but I was just like, no, that's an excuse. He's like, no, 100%. I literally put a foot on my rope. And so I think I cut, what is it? I think they're 28 foot. I probably cut a foot and a half off.
So you're probably around 26 and a half.
Yep.
Now, I think that makes sense in my opinion because I'm watching it. I'm wondering who's going to be the first to start measuring where the calf neck rope breaks and when the barrier pulls to where they are able to use that rope to be able to pull it off.
Right.
And because like you say, in the wintertime, what is it, 3 under? The start to 3 under. So what that means is the neck rope is 3 foot shorter than the box.
Right.
So that means it's going to be pretty fast. So then when you go out there in the summer, a lot of your summer rodeos are 2 foot.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And so it's an extra foot. So they're a little further, longer boxes, a little further away. So to me, that makes sense to where when you hit the barrier, there's a spot when it's short that you want to make sure your rope can get there, but still not so much rope where it takes too much time to break off.
Right.
And me, that makes more sense in the summer where you have a little bit more room because they're going to be a little further out there because otherwise you're relying so much on the calf and your draw because you're limited.
Yep.
So I am curious how that's going to start. I'm curious where girls are going to start playing with that more.
We should call D-Lo. She's probably got a good idea of that.
She told me on the podcast, I forgot, she was 2 foot longer, I think, than Jackie measured her rope. I think it was right around there.
I believe that.
Something like that. Because that's what she does do. She gets the line ready to go and
100%.
and sends it. That long rope.
Yep.
What about, so in the team roping, we have extra soft, super soft. So like I say, I call it super soft, a double extra soft, then an extra soft, then a soft, then a medium soft. That's kind of our head rope lays.
Right.
How do you girls do the breakaway? So like it's by size, correct?
Yeah. It's just, I think the Rattler rope started a 9.0 and I know they go to a 10.5. And so the lay's all going to be the same. It's just going to be the diameter, which is going to change the weight of it, more or less.
But the stiffness kind of stays the same?
Yeah. Kind of, I mean, I think a little more weight on it's going to make, a little bit more difference, but mainly just, the feel in your hand, like when I'm helping kids or beginners or whatever, I think that's the biggest thing. Like make sure you don't have too big of rope in your hand because then starting bad habits, whatever that may be. But, yeah, it's just the weight for me. Like I don't want a super light one. I want to be able to feel that weight on the end of my rope to bring it around. And then, a 10.0 feels really good to me in my hands. So,
and that feels like it's open enough to like where you have the body, where it opens up.
Yep. Yep. It stays. Yeah. They stay pretty good. They don't, there's going to be weather where they might get too soft, but for the most part,
Any different sizes than you had from going from Arizona to Vegas?
Nope. All stayed the same.
All stayed the same.
Yep.
That is a good thing too about where you guys are at too, is it's pretty climate controlled.
Right. Yeah.
Both
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I made sure to take the ropes in the barn, when we dropped horses off at Vegas, that way they were in that building, and not just, hanging out in the trailer and letting it get cold at night and warmer in the day. So everything stayed pretty true. They felt good all the way.
So then a couple days later, you head to Vegas and the national finals breakaway roping. And that's where you guys have been rodeoing for all year.
Right.
It's not the Thomas and Mack. It's before the Thomas and Mack, the Tuesday, Wednesday before Thomas and Mack starts. The NFR starts on Thursday. So you guys are Tuesday and Wednesday at the South Point. Great spot.
Yep.
And then you run 5 rounds on Tuesday, then 5 full rounds on Wednesday, basically just like the NFR, but it's just basically compacted in 2 days.
Right.
And so the purse went from 200,000 this year went to 300,000. I heard correct.
I think so. I knew it went up.
And so what was I think it was it $6,000 rounds?
Yeah.
And then what was the average?
16.
16.
Yep.
So it is a little bit different going from Kimes there, but it's also still pretty good in the fact that like this is what you rodeoed for all year.
Right. Yep.
And so, how much did you win there total? I've looked all over. You can find it pretty easy on Kimes. They
Right.
had all their stuff. Everyone just kept putting what you won total. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I can speculate.
Right.
No one talked about what you guys won each round. There was never a number.
Yep.
It was just a placing. No one talked about how much the average was. It was just a placing.
Right.
So, whether, like I say, you can speculate that, but what did you win total?
$34,221.
And I did hear that was the new
New
national
record for
finals
most.
breakaway roping record.
Yep.
So walk me through round one. For whatever reason, round one's been kind of these 2 weeks. Now the average result of it was ranked, but for whatever reason, round one's you're just having a hard time getting kicked off. Right.
Yeah. Made a better run in round one here. It was just a solid run was 3, or maybe long 8. I really don't even remember the time. But as I got done roping, I'm like, I knew my buckle had come undone or something. I'm trying to fix my buckle, but I was like, man, something else just feels weird. And I got down to get my rope and I looked down and the front of my pants is blown out. Like, not a little rip, like blown out. I was like, holy shit. I just blew my pants out in round one, but here we run 5 in a row and it's like, hey, I'm on the 15th floor, don't have jeans handy, and so poor little man, I lope little man back around the alley and I saw somebody, I'm like, hey, will you go get Ryan, please? They're like, what's wrong? I said, go get him. I can't walk through there. Like, I need somebody to go get him because I've got a hole in the middle of my pants. So he comes, I'm like, hey, I need you to hustle and go get me some pants. He's like, what are you talking about? And I show him and he's like, okay. And so he hauls butt up there, but he doesn't get back. He gets back in time before I wrote my second one, but not in time for me to change pants. So I wrote the second round.
Round 2, you've got to go just
blow out.
Yeah, blown out.
I literally, when I tucked my shirt
blowing
in,
a tire out. You can't change it. You ain't got time to change it. We're just going to roll that thing on. Yeah, we're going to limp it on in.
So when I tucked my shirt in, I could like pull the tail of my shirt through it. And so it looked goofy, but at least it was covering things up right. And then I stuffed 2 breakaway flags in there, one of mine and one of Jackie. She's like, hey, I have another one. You need another one? I'm like, yeah, sure. That'd be great. So I stuffed those in there and we put a little tape in front. And I was like, I'm not worried about being embarrassed because it was no big deal, but I didn't want it to rip anymore because then it was probably going to be embarrassing. So I'm like, let's just get through this run. No more rip. And we did. Like, it was good. Made another good run. Got to the back and then had a little more breathing room to change pants.
At least you guys were staying in the same building.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at the South Point, and then South Point, that's where you were also staying. Your room was there too. Mm-hmm. So at least it was there. At least you didn't have to drive on the other side of town.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have sucked.
But you can bet your ass the next day I had an extra pair of pants and a shirt in the stall just in case.
I never thought about something like that to have to get ready for, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, before the mishap of round one, what do you feel like your mindset was going in? Because there has to be a certain amount of momentum and confidence coming from the Kimes $1 Million Breakaway into the NFR.
Yep.
Now is, that when you've won that much money and you're 10 for 10 going in, there has to be a certain amount of confidence going in.
Yeah, for sure. Confidence was high. My horse was feeling great still, like all those 10 rounds, like confidence was there. And then this year was the first time I had a chance at a world title compared to the other 2 times I'd been to the NFR.
What did you come in at?
Came in at 4th. Yep. And I think
there was realistically about 5 of you, correct, on paper that did have a chance because there was so much.
I think
I
was 16,000 behind, maybe ish somewhere.
There was so much of a lead that those girls had, and then at $6,000 rounds, only so many are going to have a shot for the world.
Right.
You can go probably in the team roping, and if you get on a heater and the other guys don't, everyone, almost all 15 teams or almost all 15 guys almost have a chance because there's so much money to win.
Right.
When you girls went there, it was about 5 of you. 5 of you had a shot.
Yeah, and it seems like that's kind of been the deal. Like the other years I've gone, it seems like that. Those people have had a chance, but yeah. So this was the first year I had a chance, and so like that was like, okay, I'm playing offense. Like I, didn't. It's not like I started out crazy and made some good solid runs. Won the 3rd round. So that's kind of when I turned it on, won some money there. But
Once you got some new pants.
yeah, exactly. New pants, new go round, baby. Here we go. It's a good thing that I didn't win the second round because that would have been a hard interview in the middle.
You don't want to. And then that, and it's like, well, it's working.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess we'll just keep going.
It's like Bull Durham. You never miss with a winning streak.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, so it started good. I know after the first 5 rounds, I was second in average. And so I remember talking to my mom that night and even the next day, because I'm a numbers person. Like, I'm not going to focus on it too much, but I want to have an idea. And especially there, like you talked the difference, it's good for us because if you get on a roll, it's good. But it's also hard for us because you guys have 23 hours and 58 minutes, to say, hey, if it comes down to the 10 round, I know exactly what I got to do. We have like seconds and minutes to figure that out. And it's like, hey, we might not know exactly what's going to happen. So that's kind of the tricky thing there when you got to run them so fast. But I knew going into the second day, needed to keep my average spot, obviously move up if I could, but I had to win money in the rounds. And so it's like, okay, well, this is my choice. I want to be a world champ. And so I'm going to be aggressive and do what I can. So.
Well, and that is what's different. That's exactly right. Because when we go to each round, like I say, you have 23 hours and 58 minutes until the next round. So all those secretaries all have everything laid out.
Yep.
When we get there the next night and we see what we got drawed, the average is up, the rounds are up, the world title is up. Like, they have it all written out for us.
Right.
And like you say, when you're running that fast, you almost got to do it yourself.
Yeah, you got to do it yourself, but you're also worried about, hey, I got to figure out what calf I've drawn. I got to get videos of him from the time before. Like, that's really my focus. And that's, my mom and my aunt were texting Ryan. I'm like, you kind of keep me updated there, but I've got to focus on what I'm roping.
Yep. Because that's what Jackie had. She got up early Wednesday morning because she was with you. She had a shot at it too.
Yep.
And she had her and her dad, they were writing everything out from what round they basically had a spreadsheet drawn out in paper so they could kind of keep up with who was what, because like I say, they're so fast.
Yep.
You someone else is going to have to keep track of the stats so you can go rope. But if you have a shot, you want to know.
Yeah, 100%.
You want to know where everybody's at.
Yep.
And so that was a great mindset and that was great for, I think, people to kind of get the backstory of going into Wednesday. Round 6, round 7. When I started, kind of what Joe B would say, looking cross-eyed, was it 7th or 8th, 9th? Was it 7th or 8th round?
8th round.
8th round.
Yep.
Dude, like, it was like that round I watched again. I'm like, what the shit? Like, you're winning the average right now. I think, when did you start winning? When did you go to the lead in the average?
The 6th round. So I was second out in the 6th round.
So was first.
I had to go.
She missed the first one.
She missed the first one the second day. And so I bumped up. And
so by 7th round, you've got you're in the lead for the average.
Yeah, and by 7th round, I was up 1 calf too. And so
by
I
7th round, you're the only girl with all of them caught.
Yeah, so I know for 1, I can go at them because I'm up 1, and for 2, like, barrier doesn't matter, right? Because I'm going to get the sucker caught going at them.
That's a good outlook. It's a good outlook because there's no reason to play safe.
Right.
In a way, especially at the barrier.
Yeah. Not when they put me in that situation to the average, like knowing I was 1 up. Yeah. If I missed, I'm probably not going to stay number 1 in the average, but I'm still going to be right there in the top, 2 or whatever it may be. And so I remember talking to Ryan back there and we knew, I said, this is the calf I'm dang sure going at.
Is this round 8?
Yeah. Because I know he's good. I can't remember who had it. Maybe Jordan. I know she made a great round on him. I was like, but I'm not holding back. I told him, I was like, I want to be a world champ. Like, I'm going out this one. And I was
started
pumped.
Feeling it and starting believing it, huh?
Yeah.
Because I was in the stands and I watched round 8 and you freaking hit that barrier and came with it. I had that cross, like Joe B said, I was cross-eyed. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you're going on offense. It's like we talked about, you were going on offense. It looked like right then and there, that's when it looked like you were about to take the world title. Because the other girls had such a lead going in, it was kind of theirs to lose.
Right.
That's when I started seeing you going on the take, like you're about to take it.
Yeah.
And
because I knew I had to get some round money.
It was in your hands.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily have to win all the rounds, but I knew I had to get money. And I placed in 6, 7, 8, 9. I got money in all 4 of them till round 10. So
round 10, got money on round 9. Now, basically round 10, did you know you By
So-
then you know you have the average one, correct?
Well, so that's the thing. I
did you?
didn't.
No matter what happens.
Well, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know I could fall off and still win the average, to be honest. I knew that I had all kinds of time. I really didn't know. That was one of the things where I got confused. Just things were hustling around, and that was my fault. But I mean, no big deal. I'm not gonna blame not on anybody. It was just one of those things. Things got going, and I didn't realize that I didn't have to catch that calf to win the average, but they knew. People knew, or that was the deal.
Because I believe on paper, 4 of you realistically had a chance.
Right.
I think Jackie had a small one. It was going to have to win the round. There was going to have to be no one else do good. I know the other girls, it was still theirs to have if they were able to grasp, but then also you were within striking distance as well.
Yeah. And that's what, I'm worried about getting videos and watching my calf. I missed some of those earlier runs in the 10th round because I really wasn't worried about it. I'm a money person, but I'm not worried about what anybody else is doing. I can only control what I can do. And so that's what I was focused on, but that's where I kind of got lost there for the average. I didn't know what Macy did, and she either, I think, broke out or something happened in the 10th round to where they said it didn't matter what I did.
So what happened?
So, man, that was one of those things.
Because I was in the stands bragging, I'm like, we're going for 20 for 20. You're going to see 20 for 20 right here.
Man, I backed in. I was confident. I felt like I got a good go. I was riding good. It just didn't work. He was off to the right, and I just didn't make it work. One more, probably 100%. I was going to get him popped, but I didn't feel like I took a bad shot. And so I still, I'm not mad about it. It's not one of those where I was like, oh my God, that was a dumbass shot. Don't do that. It was just, it was a good shot. It just didn't work. Yeah. So,
most people need to understand is you can be so frustrated at a miss, but most misses are a game of inches.
Mm-hmm.
When I think it got around the eyeballs.
Yeah, that's what somebody told me. They were like, dude, this much.
I'm telling you, a booger kept it from catching. You know what I'm saying? That's how close it is. But hit the start, swing was going, everything was set up good. Yep. But when you missed. So one of the things I think everyone needs to understand too is first day, Tuesday, probably half full, maybe not half full as far as the tennis go on a Tuesday when no one's there. Right. And then Wednesday, I would say pretty close to 3/4.
Yeah.
Maybe a little low, but maybe 3/4 is right around there. But it was so electric.
Mm-hmm.
It was loud in there, man.
Yep.
You guys put on a great show. The crowd was into it.
Yep.
I had to take Journey to the bathroom, I think, at the end of one of maybe round 7 or 8 or something like that. And they were lighting them up. The last 2 girls, I think, won the round. And I couldn't tell how loud it was until I was in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was going through. I'm like, because when you're in it, you don't think about it.
Right.
But when you're kind of away from it, you're like, holy crap. It was a lot of electricity in that room. It was great watching, great environment, great show. But when you missed that 10th calf, there was no air in that building. None. It was like hell froze over right then and there. And everyone was like I spilled, I think Shane, I was sitting by Shane White, Shano, and I think I was like, I run into him. I think I spilled his drink and I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
It was like the air came out and I was like, oh shit. Now this really tightens things
I know.
up.
And that's the thing. It's like, oh my gosh, Kels, man, there was your shot. But I remember walking out because I could have been, I feel like it's more heartbreaking sometimes than being mad. We can be mad, nobody likes to lose, right? But I was like, but then I remember walking out, I'm like, no, I am proud of what I have done in the last few days. I have no regrets. And I want to rope that 10th cap just as bad as anybody, but I do not regret a single thing I did. But then when I came back and met Ryan, he was like, hey, good job. You still won the average. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you still won the average. He's like, I knew you won the average before you went. I'm like, really? I'm just like, whatever. He was like, yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, badass. Okay, I won the average. Awesome. Let's see how this plays out. And so then I only get to watch a couple in the 10th round. And like I said, I don't know really how people did. I knew Martha went before me, so I knew she did great. And I knew that those girls were going to have to, certain people were going to have to win the round.
Yeah, there was 5 of you. That's what it was. Martha battled back too.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, Martha, because she put on a show too.
100%.
She battled. She was after it. Jackie was there. Josie Connor and Shelby were you all were bunched right there. I remember that now. I forgot. And it was such good watching.
Yeah.
It really was, because it was, it's kind of cool when you walked up there and got your average saddle, your aggregate saddle right there. You're 2 of them, two two of the biggest stages to win. Average titles are not easy to win.
Right.
And nailing those two within a week was so cool.
Yeah.
But no one knew who won the world. And they said, hang on while you're standing here. And then they brought in the other saddle.
Yeah, that was
world champ.
Raw emotion right there, 100%. You know, because, it's in the back of your mind and you know you have a chance. But and that's what I remember I kept asking Ryan. I'm like, where did Martha fall in the average? Because I knew, when some of those girls get out of the average and the other ones start moving up, it's like, where is she? Because that's, I knew what the girls did in the round. It's like, man, where is she in the average? She's like, I don't know. And they would never put it up because they were, she won that last round and that's what they were showing round. And I was like, man, I don't know. Haven, he did tell me, he said, congrats, world champ. I said, really? He's like, no, I'm positive. I know. But it was still one of those, like, I couldn't fully commit to believing that until they announced it, just because, you don't want to do that to yourself.
Yeah.
But so,
absolutely.
when they announced it, that was pure raw emotion right there.
There it is. Isn't that crowd?
Yeah.
I think this is your average.
Yeah, that was average.
And like I say, Shelby placed in the round. Martha won the round.
Yeah.
So Martha won the 10th round.
Mm-hmm.
Shelby was third.
That's why I kept
Jackie
saying, where does Martha go in average? That was the biggest deal.
Yeah. So that's why I get it. Yeah, that's a lot to try to figure out.
Yeah. I was like, I know my mom and my aunt, they said they were in there they were in the stands doing it, and they were pretty sure, but it was just one of those things. They were like, we couldn't even text you and tell you for sure because
So this was it.
Yeah.
So then they bring in the other saddle.
I would like to say as they bring the next saddle out.
That's when you knew.
Yeah.
Your world.
So all this is on the Breakaway Journal, Facebook, your Facebook.
And that one's Cowboy Channel shared that one too. So.
Oh, yeah, the Cowboy Channel this year got it live. That's awesome. The one I loved the most was there's one in here that I loved where everyone in the family, they showed the family, they showed everything. It was super cool. And how rank was that picture that you sent me that I was able to share on
That was badass.
That was a sweet pick.
Yeah, that was my new favorite for sure.
Yeah, there's a video out there. I'm on your Facebook. This is how many shares there was.
I know, exactly.
Like everybody, to try to get to anything on your Facebook was so hard because, you had thousands of shares. It was so awesome. So many people happy for you. And what is so cute about this video we're trying to find here is for some of the people that haven't watched all year, there it is, is how happy Oakland is at all times.
Yeah.
And Ryan goes to the stands and grabs Oakland, throws her over the fence.
Yeah.
And here she comes. And just look at oh my gosh, isn't that the cutest thing you've ever seen? Just so happy for Mom.
Yeah. She really has no idea why she's happy, but she's
just happy.
She's pumped.
Yeah.
That's cool.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that's what it's all about right there. Family and getting to do this. So, and right there, got my best friend Jackie and Martha and Amanda and Shy, all my pals there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right there, cheering as loud.
When they say that who you hang out with has a lot to do with where you're going to go, that's
100%.
A pretty good one in that perspective.
No doubt.
So you've won 9 world titles in the WPRA. You've made the National Finals Breakaway Open 3 times. This is your first WPRA PRCA world title.
Right.
How much different does that one feel than anything else that you've won?
What's my new favorite? I'll tell you that for sure. But it's not that the other ones aren't a year-long grind, but it's just different. Grinding out rodeos from start to finish. Winter, spring, summer, and then in the fall. Starting the new season before you ever go to the NFR. But it's just that grind. And then just getting to go to those rodeos that we've always seen, but, never had a chance to go to. And then this year we get to go to St. Paul. We're getting to go to different, bigger and better rodeos, seems like every year. So they're running out of rodeos they're going to have to add us to because they've added us to all of them, which is badass. But it's just, being gone from family so long, grinding it out on the road, doing all those different things. Like, it's just, this was different.
I never thought about that. Because when you think about the Kimes $1 Million Breakaway, it's a different emotion almost there, is like excitement and like what they've done. I never thought about the sacrifice from the other one, because the other one it's an all year sacrifice, family, everything. Yep. Yeah, that is a different feel, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. You're away from your spouse or, family, whatever that may be. And you're literally in that truck and trailer for June to into September.
Yep. From June till Pendleton. And then even when you come back, you're still battling out, going to, going to South Dakota for the last 2 weeks. So yeah, it's basically from 1st of June till basically October.
Yeah. 100%.
So you won the world. So right now, while we're doing this podcast, it's the 8th round of the NFR. So you'll fly back then, correct, and get your saddle on the world stage.
Yep, fly back Saturday and get my saddle and buckle with all the other world champs. So that's be pretty cool. Huh? Yeah.
You talk about family and sacrifices. I think from what we counted, I think you're one of 3 girls that made the national finals breakaway that roping this year that has kids.
Yep.
How difficult is that? When I know a little bit of it, because of Jackie, but what she does, she's got a whole crew of people. She's got LD out there, Hope, Abby, then Cheyenne. She takes care of the whole bus and the horses and the kids. Yeah, that's exactly right. And then she had a babysitter. I remember one babysitter lasted 1 week. They went out there the 4th, and she was like, "Adios, I can't do this." So then she had to find another one, and so she has help on so many different levels. That's kind of the way she handles rodeo and throughout the year. How do you handle it throughout the year, from basically, like we talked about, from June till October? What are your guys' style?
So Oakland,
everything done.
Oakland gets to go with me 24/7, and then Ryan, my Aunt Lori, and my mom Lisa, they all switch out weeks. My mom and my aunt can work on the road on their computer, so that helps. That's been a blessing for sure. I mean, it's been a blessing anyways for them to be able to help me, but they can work while on the road. It's a little harder for Ryan, of course. He can't take his construction on the road with them, but they've made it to where I can do that and not have to have, another breakaway roper in the rig. And that's not negative. I've traveled with LD and Jackie and all of them, and I enjoy that, but I just didn't want to, put anybody out if I had to make a decision for Oakland. And, same thing with Jack. Kids come first. We're out doing our job, but if something happens, obviously we got to take care of them. And so I didn't want somebody, if they wanted to go to this rodeo and I didn't think it was good for me, I didn't, didn't want to hold anybody back. So that's been really good to have family be able to go out there with me and help with her. And, it's worked out. I think I went to either 74 or 76 rodeos. I can't remember, but right there around 75 rodeos, which our limit was 100. And so I had quite a few to give, but it's worked out to where I haven't had to just completely spread myself thin because I'm the driver. I've got somebody with me helping, but unless Ryan's out there, then I'm pretty much the one driving. So it's been a blessing to be able to do that and make that work.
That is probably harder than anyone else that I know of. Because, Jackie's got a driver. When I was rodeoing, I had a driver. The goal was, when you got there, to make sure that no matter how many miles you went, you're rested and ready to go. You're exhausted from driving, exhausted, from all these other different things, stress of being a mom out there with kids and all that stuff. So the fact that how you won that world title is amazing in itself, just in what you just said, because that is amazing to be able to do all that and be all of that. Right. The driver, the saddler, it's also help. You're right. Like you say, you have the help, but there's no buddy team, so your expenses are all on you. You blow a tire, it's all you. When you fill that thing up, it is all you. Yep. And that's, I never thought about that.
And that's one thing. That's what I've chosen to do. I haven't, split rigs or split horses. If I rode the paint the couple times I needed him, but he always stayed with Little Man. I always joke and say that was his companion animal. But, I think I flew one time just to come back to Pecos and then went back to Greeley. But other than that, I told myself, if it didn't work out to me able to make it driving, that's just the sacrifice I'm going to take to do that. As well as me, year to year it might change, and you might be to where you have to freaking get to going, but I know I can say, hey, Jack or LD or Hope, can I fly in and ride your horse? Like we know I've got that. Yeah. But yeah.
So Little Man, he went to basically the majority of those 74, 76 rodeos.
Yeah. Everyone. I mean, all but Pendleton.
Probably what, 98% of them Little Man went to?
Yeah, he pretty much, he went to every single one of them, but he didn't have to compete at every one. But yeah, 98%. I mean, I rode the Pain at Cheyenne, I rode him at Pendleton, and I rode him at Prineville, and one in Utah. So there's just 4 right there that I can think of.
He won the horse with the most heart.
Mm-hmm, that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. And how old is Little Man now?
He'll be 19.
He'll be 19. And so he has a unique size and a unique stride and a unique stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be, when you made that many runs on that horse, that's going to make it almost hard to find one that's going to duplicate him, huh? Because you found what you need.
Right.
So when you're looking for him, because the guy's going to have to replace him and know you're going to have to replace him, what is it that you feel like you're going to be looking for then on that next one?
I think it's just the way they move their feet. Every one of them's got to be quick-footed, but I think just the way their stride is. I always laugh. I had hell riding Kevin because he was longer striding, just different. But like just a shorter stride, quicker feet. And then I think to me, like the best thing about him is he runs so hard and then stays there. Like, I don't know that he's ever shorted me out. Jackie got him to get short a couple times randomly, but for me, like he just stays running so hard. And I think that's the biggest deal is I know that I can take a shot anywhere and I'm not worried about him cutting it off, but then he's going to drag his butt.
I would give a lot of credit to that also with your riding technique. I really think you ride a horse really good from the back to the front with a tight swing that stays ahead of him. You don't ride them from the front to back.
Right.
When they get out in front and your swing is behind, that's when I think they can read you. You've always done a good job of getting ahead of them and keeping them going. And that is going to be hard to replace.
Mm-hmm.
That's a phenomenal horse from the NFR till Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Those are, in the team rope when there was Walt, there was Sikkim, there was a handful of horses that were good at the NFR and Cheyenne and Salinas.
Yeah.
That's a freak in a way. And you've got him.
100%.
And, so what does next year look like? What does the next few years look like? I know Jackie, from her perspective, is there's so much now that she can do between the Kimes $1 Million Breakaway. That's probably the biggest one. Then you have the American. You've got Kid Rock rodeos that are coming up. These little standalone events. Hondo, which was
San Diego in January.
San Diego in January. You guys are already automatically into all the good winter rodeos, and a lot of them, I think, have qualifiers as well going forward. What does next year look like, and how much? And then how many years after that are you thinking? What's your outlook looking like right now?
Honestly, next year, so they changed our rodeo count to 80. And so being right there.
That makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. So being right there in that 75 rodeo range, I kind of need to keep the same game plan there. Got a few extra if I need to, depending on where you're at the end of the year, if you got to go to a few more of those little rodeos to make it. I just feel like there's a couple that I can think of that I kind of just was like, man, I'm here. Might as well go to it. But I don't really feel like there was a whole lot of wasted rodeos. I don't know the correct way to say that, but the ones that, were good and not just because. And so I think follow kind of the same plan rodeo wise as last year. It's hard. I really do like the California rodeos in April, but it's hard to, especially now that the rodeo counts at 80. It's a hard decision because they're tour rodeos or the playoff rodeos, but also that's another 4 or 5 you
3
can
weeks.
put. Yeah, well, a whole month being gone, but that takes up your rodeo count if you stay the same. That'd get me closer to 80. So, I think just kind of same thing. I think Oakland's getting easier. Well, I say that. I don't want to jinx myself, but she travels good, and it's she's older now to where we're doing a lot of different things. I can throw her on a horse, kind of that deal. So, her and Journey will probably be loping horses around, and we're going to try to be keeping up with them type thing. But no, I think next year kind of same thing as this year, kind of same game plan, and I don't know. I think a couple more years, but I know once Oakland gets a couple more years older and kind of wants to do her thing, then I think I'll probably be ready to slow down, kind of like Jackie's doing. So
I think it's somewhat different for girls than it is guys. And I know every woman's like, yeah, no shit. And I get that. But I think for guys to understand is it doesn't affect us. Where it affected me was when I started knowing that I'm going to be missing things and that I'm done. That's it. I'm not going to sacrifice that. But when Jackie was pregnant and had Creed, as soon as he was good to go, I was off to the next rodeo.
Right.
Y'all are not. So, I mean, that sacrifices a year out of your year. That's income. That's making a living. That's your sponsorships. There's so many things, I think, that people understand too, is when to be a female athlete, there's so many more obstacles.
Yep.
And it's tough. And it seems like it's something that's looked at when you're looking at future, is because it's not like you can still go rodeo and then come home.
Right.
You're always going to have the kids. And so it's not the same at all.
Right.
How much harder do you feel like it is being a mom and a wife and all those things and trying to hold a family dynamic? Because for girls, I think growing up, it's something that I think that needs to be understood too, is when you're going to chase this and also be a wife and a mother, there's going to be a lot of sacrifices. What would you 100%. Say? Because you're kind of laying it out, just talking about what it's like in the rodeos.
Right.
You know, how does everything else do you feel like, and how do you make it work?
Yeah, it's hard. Just, it's hard being away from Ryan, and it's hard for Ryan to be away from Oakland. That's one of the hardest things, which you guys, you get that too. That's hard being away from your kids. But, she goes with me because it's, if she stayed home with Ryan, she'd have to go to daycare, which is nothing wrong with daycare. But if she's with me, then she's with one of her parents, 24/7. And so we've been able to make it work, but it's hard. It's not easy. You're trying to have a good marriage, but you're also trying to be good mom and dad, raise a good kid. And so it's dang sure not easy. And then just looking into the future, we want to have another kid eventually, but it's one of those, it's like, okay, I'm not trying to play God on when I have another kid, but I also have to think about that and say, hey, when do I want to have that kid? Because it affects your entire season. And just like that, if we do, then, can't go to as many rodeos. You got to do some clinics and lessons and things like that. So it's just, like you said, you don't really have to miss, you're not timing anything,
Nope.
But we dang sure kind of have to think about that. Like I said, it's one of those things it's not like I can say, hey, I want to start tomorrow. Let's have another one. It's just, it doesn't work like that. But also in the back of your mind, it's like, okay, well, how can I try to plan that out the best I can, where, because when I did have Oakland that year, I was close to making it to the NFR. I still had that chance. I got to rodeo till end of May. All summer was off, but I came back and roped in a few of those rodeos in September and had a chance. And so it, almost worked out then, but I don't know now where the rodeos are at. I don't know if you can do that, come back and do it. So that's dang sure a year-long sacrifice you're going to have to figure out and see what you want to do. So it's hard.
Because I've seen it a lot with guys out here. I've seen it a lot where guys stayed rodeoing too long and they sacrificed too much.
Yep.
Sometimes they say you don't know where the end of the cliff is until you go off the end of the cliff.
Right.
And, too many rodeos gone too long. And, that it can be a false idol real easy.
Yep.
Rodeoing can be a false idol. And so it's such a hard balance, but it's so much harder and respectable for what the female athlete goes through compared to what it is on guys' terms. So my hat's off to you. I remember when Jackie told me about her trip to Oakdale when the journey was thrown up in the rig the whole way there. And I'm like, I'd have retired. Nope. I thought it was hard enough trying to get along with 3 other team ropers in the rig. Nope.
For sure.
I'd have been done. I'd have retired.
Yep.
So being the world champ now and coming off of that epic performance for those last 2 huge events, the amount of young girls that now are putting breakaway ropes in their hands. Now the chance that those young girls now can either show, okay, now if I want to be successful in rodeo, I can either run barrels or I can rope. Now there's finally those 2 options.
Yep.
So that girl that decided she's going to pick up that rope, from growing up till the time they turn 18, what is your advice?
If you truly love it, find a way. That's what, and I think Jackie said that a lot too. If if you want to, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse, which for the younger girls might not understand that quite yet. But, you know, there's it's just so cool that there's an option now. It's so cool knowing that if Oakland wants to rodeo at all or whatever she wants to do, but if she wants to rodeo, she's got a couple different avenues now. And she has a chance to make a living. I mean, because when I was a kid, I mean, I was naive anyways, but it was like that was, you know, I ran barrels and I liked barrel racing, but that was never my dream. I loved roping more than anything, but it's like your dreams stopped pretty fast. And
off to college in a way back
yeah.
then.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we had amateur rodeos, which are great. I mean, there's great amateur rodeos now, but yeah, I mean, for kids, like I think the biggest thing is get a good horse. And I'm not saying go spend $100,000 on a horse, but don't get a 4-year-old and grow with it, right? You hear that all the time. Just get a good solid horse and learn the fundamentals. And like I said, if you love it and if you truly want to do it, you'll find a way and you'll keep fighting for it.
Well, one of the things that I would tell a young girl as well is studying that swing, study where that rope is going. We talked earlier about these reels, who to follow. So there's some girls that's got some great swings, some great horsewomen out there, some great jockeys that ride really well. But when it comes to the swing, that swing of yours is as technique perfect.
Thank you.
Strong, tight, fast, very, very consistent. And for them young girls that are trying to study that, where that rope is headed, there's so many good reels on Facebook. Follow those girls, but you are definitely the one that girls need to be making sure that they click like and follow. And because there's so much, I think, too, being able to study.
Mm-hmm. There's so much now at your fingertips. I mean, they all got phones now and stuff. So yeah, great all those rodeo or videos and roping. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So
because your mentality going into it, you can tell where you're a successful athlete as well. Your mindset and the way you, like I said, I can see when things were getting harder, your performance was elevating. Yeah. That's when you can start seeing the beast mode and competitors. It was fun to watch those 2 weeks because I was seeing it later in the rounds like, oh, she's getting stronger.
Yeah.
And that's a mentality. That's that Mamba mentality, that beast mode, whatever you want to call it, that zone. It's fun to watch. So,
thank you.
Man, so super proud of you.
Thank you.
Super, super proud of you.
Appreciate it.
I was so pumped to watch that, and such a great story. You know, those are things that when people are looking for documentaries, when you're seeing a wife and a mom and the adversity that you did and the sacrifices you made and then the triumph at the end, those are things that everyone wants to watch.
Yeah.
And so that's a pretty cool story. And the cool thing is, your story ain't done.
Yeah, that's right. So, there's more to it.
So speaking of visuals, we're in the 8th round right now. So when this podcast comes out, the NFR will be over. But for us right now, we're trying to get ready because we got the NFR to watch here in a second. And so going on round number 8, the NFR.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if I was, being a team roper, if I was still, gaming and competing, man, my guys are driggers. I love watching that guy. T-Wade's timing on how he's getting the rope and getting the angle, making them steers hit. Those are the guys I studied. I loved the Clay Smiths, his swing and the way he could ride. Cody Snow, that dude's an assassin with that head rope, So like for me, that's what I would always be watching, trying to study and get better because we were talking about visuals. Are you watching the calf roping? Is there anybody that you watch? Is there certain things when you're watching the NFR, like you're studying them or anything like that?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to watch Riley Rowe right now, huh? I mean, he's same thing, backing in there. He's on offense. He's staying aggressive. Even those cabs he's had to take another swing or two, it's like, man, like as soon as that guy hits the ground, it's unreal. Like I can't stop watching that. But I do like the way to watch him, get across the line. And I think he is kind of a breakaway roper sometimes, but he's so good at it. Like, and then setting up his run, so I really like watching him. Shad's fun to watch too, and Haven always got good horses. Like he does. I mean, I feel like he does good. Like he stays aggressive across the line too, and gets it on him. But it's been an exciting NFR. It's hard not to keep your eyes open for all of them. But dang sure Riley at the top of the list right now.
What's fascinating for me also is that how fast they can get the rope up holding the saddle one.
I know that's
because in a team rope and we cock that thing. You want to be ready right there. I want to have that rope going ahead into the calf. They're bringing it from down there back and still able to get in front of it.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me. when you're talking about Riley right now is to be that consistently fast. For one, his technique is flawless, but to get on that heater and stay that consistently fast and then smart. His IQ, his roping IQ is so good. Reactions when the calf steps over here, the flank, every little thing, he's ahead of all of it. And for going into 8th rounds, he is flawless. Same way with Haven last year. There was not fast, consistent, and just the instincts just always being there ahead of the run. It's it is crazy to see how good a handful of those guys are when you look at day in, day out, year in and year out. And the horses are a big part of it too. You know, how good they're getting that go and getting ahead of them and be ready to rope. And yeah, that's what's been hard almost watching them and then comparing it to Breakaway is every girl cocks their rope and a lot of them guys are holding on the saddle horn when it's right there. This is my question to you is this is one of the things it looks to me like when you're looking at the box, when you're looking at those guys backing in the corner of the box, the panels on the right-hand side and behind them look a lot lower than the panels did for you guys at South Point.
Yeah.
I'm watching that, and the panels look lower because where you girls are cocking it and those panels are high, I don't know how many girls hit the panel when they were cocking it. For one, it looked easier if guys were cocking it where that panel's lower on your right-hand side.
Gotcha, yeah.
But I can't tell because they're also taller.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, too, is how much of that do you think is that why they're holding onto their saddle horn where they can clear to get to the pin, and when they bring their first swing up, they're not going to hit nothing?
And I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I know, so like watching Riley, start down there, I think the biggest thing is when he rides, like he's going to let his right hand go back. And that's what I try to focus on, too, even though I'm cocking. Like when I ride, it's going to go back first. Like I'm not going to meet my hands in the middle. And so, kind of the same idea there, whether you're starting low or high, like I think the main thing is how good he's riding across the line and getting that timing. Like we talked earlier, like he is aggressive right there and he's not getting too far ahead of it or, rushing anything or pushing anything. Like he's just riding, being aggressive, bringing his rope up, and that's where his timing is. So
who's going to win it? Who's going to win the calf rope? What do you think?
I mean, it's sure hard not to pick Riley right now being on a roll. Like I said, he's on offense. He's not backing off. He's still winning money in the rounds and, got the, winning the average. So it's hard not to pick him, but man,
Shad's doing a good job.
Yeah, he's doing good too.
And it's definitely, it started off his to lose and Riley's to take, and then Riley's taking it.
Yeah.
But I thought Shad's doing a good job. He's
staying
second
in
the
there.
average, second in the world.
I think it's just kind of going to depend on what they draw in the next couple nights and how they use them, you know, because there's a couple calves in there that are getting tricky. I don't know what pins they are, but
it is fun to watch those two battling out, 1 and 2 in the average, 1 and 2 in the world.
Yep.
It's fun to watch that. And then like say Haven's in there. And what about the team roping?
Man,
I think it seems wide open, doesn't it?
Yeah, wide open. And I yell at my TV every day or every night. It's so exciting, especially when Britton and Caden, they made that run. Oh my God, I scared Oakland, but I was so pumped. Like that was so badass.
Brenton's doing amazing hitting. He's doing some amazing hitting. Technical, everything was good to start. He's roping, short line. But that shot that Caden pulled off when that yellow steer
rookie healer out there, that was
rookie healer.
Yeah, right.
Amazing back there. But then when they tee up, hammer them too.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to hit a free throw shot when a couple of them are there. But it's another thing to make plays. That dude's coming up with some one hand, basically end zone 2 feet in bounds that are not even catchable steers like the one last night. And then Colby Payne, number 1 in the average, and tees off. Had a couple, one that drug. Yeah. And then last night,
he's been impressive.
There's some rookie healers that look really strong.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we just got to sit back and watch that event. Like,
because if T-Wade gets rolling like he normally does, I'm telling you, in my opinion, this is going to probably, guy can say a lot of things, goats and this and that, but that Wesley Thorpe, in my opinion, he's the Clay Cooper of our era. He can get on anything. He can clean him up and he can tee off. Yep. He's just always in the right spot. Like we talked about the calf ropers always being ahead of it. As far as a healer, he is just always in the right spot. And if
He
they
makes it look easy,
They
too.
stay in the ring, he's going to catch him. And I'm not so sure he couldn't pull a shot off if that steer jumps in the fifth row.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him.
I mean, he looked so. He looks kind of in that league of his own back there. It looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And if T Wade, when he's a gamer, he's gonna light him up. So one thing about, like say, the Team Open, it is wide open.
Yeah, 100%. It's gonna be a fun couple rounds.
Yeah, it's gonna be good to watch.
Yep.
So, Kels, congratulations, cowgirl.
Thank
so
you.
proud of you.
Appreciate you.
Well deserved. And man, have fun. Sit on that stage.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna
I'm
be
going
so
to.
cool.
Yeah,
It's gonna be really cool.
I'm gonna soak it in.
All right. Well, have a Merry Christmas, and thanks for coming on.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.